Alaska, a land of unimaginable beauty and endless wilderness. Welcome back for the second video in my two-part series detailing the 1,000-mile, 6-day road trip that my wife and I took across our incredible state. Our time was spent camping, fishing, hiking, exploring, and taking in the incredible scenery that you don't get to see every day. Our trip started out in our hometown of Palmer, and then we worked our way east towards Lake Louise. After Lake Louise, we continued on and spent the night in Glen Allen. After Glen Allen, we worked our way south down the Richardson Highway for a quick visit to Valdez. Then we worked our way back up the Richardson Highway, spending the night about 30 miles north of Glen Allen before continuing on to Delta Junction. After Delta Junction, we went on to Fairbanks, and then we worked our way back down and spent the evening in Byers Lake before returning home to Palmer. We ended the last video on some incredible grayling fishing on the third and fourth day, after which we made our way to Fairbanks and spent the fourth evening. Now let's hit the road once again and take a look at what happened on days 5 and 6. On the fifth morning, we left Fairbanks and headed south down the park's highway towards Byers Lake, where we would spend the fifth evening. As we made our way south, once again, the incredible Alaska mountain range came into view. And as we drew closer to Denali National Park, it wasn't long until I found another place to fish.
There's one. Nice little rainbow trout. This is my new Redington Classic Trout. This is the 7-foot, 6-inch number 3 line. I've got some 2X tippet on there because I don't really know what's in this lake and I don't know if I'm going to get slammed by a bigger fish. So I've got some pretty heavy tippet on there, all things considered. And I've got myself a little green copper john, and it seems to be doing the trick today. A little breezy out here today, so casting this little 3-weight line is kind of difficult. Unfortunately, it seems like most of the fish are over here kind of to my left, right where the wind is coming from, so that's okay. Doesn't seem like I really need to cast that far out in order to find these fish. Try casting over there with the wind. Might make it a little easier. There's a fish. That looks like a rainbow trout by the way it's fighting here. But let's get it in and see. That's probably the best one that I've seen so far, actually. Real pretty rainbow trout. Nothing can compare to the natural colors on these fish. That's not a bad trout at all. Seems like I'm getting a little break in wind gusts here, so let's see if we can find a grayling. That's what I'm really here for today. I've been spending the past few days driving around the interior just hunting grayling. If you guys saw that other video that I put out, found some real nice ones up by Paxson Lake. There's a fish, he came off. Found some real beautiful natural grayling up by Paxson Lake the other day. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a real long time, so I don't think we're gonna find anything of that caliber in here, but you never know. There's a fish. And that is a beautiful grayling. That's what we're after. It's a small one, a little smaller than the ones I caught before I started filming, but that's okay. There he goes. It almost seems as if the wind is starting to cooperate with me just a little bit better right now, so that's real nice. There's one. What do we got here? Another rainbow trout. The colors on these natural rainbow trout are just so much prettier than all those little stockies that you get back home. I've got hit. There he is. Rainbow trout. Or is that a grayling? It's hard to tell. I'm looking right into the sunlight. Oh, it's a nice rainbow trout. That guy was hungry. I knew I was getting hit by something a little bit bigger. There you go, buddy. Bingo. Took that one right on the surface. I knew there was something right there. Oh yeah. Oh, popped off, but that's okay. There's one. That feels like a... Oh, he came off, of course. That felt like a pretty good fish. So just for fun, because I seem to be having hook set issues with that copper john I'm using. That is a pretty old fly. I probably need to sharpen it. Just for fun, though, I'm going to see if they'll hit on this pink beadhead nymph here. This fly is also a little bit heavier, so it might help me with the casting into the wind issue that I seem to be having right now. So we're going to tie this on and see what happens. Oh, something hit it. That's a good sign. There's one. That feels pretty good. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh, wow. That's the biggest one I've caught so far. He just clobbered that thing. Well, pink hasn't let me down yet, and this is no exception. Wow. Now I really wish I had my net. Here we go.
Shortly down the road, we made it to Byers Lake, where we would spend the fifth and the last evening of our trip. We spent the first part of the evening kayaking around the beautiful lake that shockingly had no wind. Of course, I had to try my hand at a little fishing. I didn't have any luck, but it was still an incredible experience. After we were done kayaking, we returned to the campsite and built ourselves a fire and quickly whipped up some dinner. The following morning, we hit the road for one last time on the last leg of our drive. This portion of the drive would take us south from Byers Lake, heading home towards Palmer, but we made one last and final stop.
right, day number 6. This is the last day of our 6-day trip, and I'm at a brand new lake that I've never been to before. I've spent a lot of time on Google Earth looking at this lake and how to access it and the inflow and outflow creeks and all that kind of stuff. And I'm finally here because conveniently it's right on the way home from the direction we were heading, which was Fairbanks. So heading south, we're still about 100 miles from home. And I just couldn't resist stopping in. It's just a beautiful, glassy, windless day. There's a little bit of wind out on the main lake, but nothing too bad. So I've got my Ugly Stick Carbon 6'6". This is a medium heavy, fast action bait casting rod, and I've got that paired with a loose speed spool LFS with 20-pound super slick V2 braid and a liter of 20-pound trilene sensation, and I've got a little rainbow trout pattern Rapala on there. So I think that'll be a real good pike setup. I've got my trusty Shimano Solara. I've got that paired with a 4000 series Sedona Shimano reel. And I've got just a classic number 5 Blue Fox spinner on there. This is a real good trout spinner, bigger fish. It's got a real nice sink rate. It doesn't sink very fast, and you can retrieve it really, really slow without it catching on the bottom of the lake. It's pretty simple, cheap, kind of bottom end setup, but it gets the job done. So when I was standing at the launch over there getting the boat set up, I was kind of listening, and I could hear there's some kind of inlet creek or something somewhere over here along the shore. And I heard a couple times something sounded pretty heavy come out of the water. But it wasn't like when a trout jumps. It was kind of like, you know, when a pike snaps something up in shallow water. So I'm kind of curious, so I'm going to paddle my way over here, see if we can maybe find that little inlet creek and see if there's something sitting right at the mouth of it. I don't really know what to expect in here today. Like I said, this is my first time out here. I know there's some really nice fish in here, multiple different species. So we're just going to start finding some spots and start throwing some lures, see what we find. Ah, there it is. So it looks like there's a little creek that comes in under this driveway that goes up to that cabin there. And it looks like it comes in right here between these little bushes. And it sounds like a pretty decent amount of flowing water. So I think I'm probably gonna put the brakes on here and maybe cast in there a couple times. This looks pretty pikey over here, so I think I'm gonna start with maybe just throwing this spinner in a couple times and seeing if anything bites. I decided to change it up a little bit, and I actually switched that spinner over to my bait caster just because I can cast a little bit more accurately with this than I can with that spinning reel. I'm just going to start by tossing this thing along the shoreline here and see if we can find ourselves any pike. Well, I just had a little pike follow it out of there. Nothing big, but that's a good sign. I know they get a lot bigger than that in here. Well, I'm not really finding much over here. So I think what I'm gonna do is, there is a real nice inflow creek, and I don't know exactly where it is. I don't have any service, unfortunately, so I can't look on my maps, but I think it's somewhere down that direction. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna follow the shore and venture down the lake and see if we can get into that inflow creek. So I imagine right now it's probably gonna be pretty good for pike and maybe even some grayling. Well, I've worked my way almost all the way to the other end of the lake. I didn't realize the lake was this big, but I've probably paddled a little bit over a mile so far. But I'm finally starting to see what I like to see when I'm looking for pike, and that's grass. The whole other end of the lake was like kind of bushy shorelines. And I saw a couple pike over there, but I didn't really see any grass. But over here, we're starting to get into actual nice, real tall grass. And there's actually a nice patch out here in the middle. So I'm gonna kind of work my way in here, see if I see anything, and if not, I'm gonna continue on to the inflow creek, which I believe is over there, but it could be over there too. So we'll figure it out. There's one, there's one. He came after it. Where is he? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. That's a good fish. Let's see if we can get him to get it. Come on. Where'd you go? That was probably the biggest one I've seen so far. He wasn't huge by any means, but probably about 15 inches, which is better than the 8 inches I've been seeing all morning. There he is. Come on, take it. Oh, man. Well, there's one. That's a decent size. That's not a big pike by any means, but that's the biggest one I've seen so far today. He was hanging out right in this little weed patch here. So I think I might finally be onto something. I'm gonna see if I can paddle my way out this direction and get away from those weeds so I don't spook the rest of them out, because there was 3 or 4 more that I saw. And I'm gonna get out here and get this guy unhooked. But that is the first one of the day, so no matter what size he is, that's exciting. First pike of the day on the board, and that's actually the first pike that I've caught this year, so pretty happy. I don't know what he's got all over him. He's got some kind of little black marks all over him. That's kind of interesting, so I don't really want to touch this guy, but here in South Central Alaska, you have to kill pike that you catch because they're invasive, so I went ahead and killed them, throw them up in the front of the boat, and we will continue on. the wind is starting to pick up a little bit out here, so kind of drifting along this grass patch, which is perfect because as we just saw, there are definitely pike hanging out in here. I just had another decent sized one kind of striking at it right here along these weeds. Unfortunately, I missed the hook set. Oh, there he is. Oh, come on, get it. Gotcha. Oh, it came out. This hook might just be a little bit too big for the size of fish that are hanging out right here, but that's okay. Oh, he came for it anyway. There he is. Oh yeah, he wanted that. Well, it looks like we are finally starting to figure out where the fish in here are. Get in my boat. That'll work. Get over here, you. That is not a bad pike. Little hammer handle, but that's okay. He's the second pike that we've caught this year. Whoa, look at that. It looks like this guy might have actually been caught before, and someone bonked him right there on top of the head, and obviously didn't end up killing him.
I continued fishing for about another hour, but due to the increased wind and the weather conditions closing in, I didn't seem to have any more luck. By this point, Michelle had been waiting for me for about a couple hours, so I figured it was probably a good time to head back towards the RV anyway. From this point, we continued on to home, officially ending our trip at about 6 p.m. on the 6th day. Alaska is a land of incredible beauty, filled with natural wonders, wildlife, incredible fishing, some of the best camping and hiking in the entire world, and the most amazing scenery that you will ever see. In some of the more remote parts of the state, you can travel for miles and miles without seeing another human being or any signs of civilization. It is one of the last places on Earth that you can be truly secluded and enjoy only the natural wonders that the state has to offer to you. This is a trip that my wife and I will remember for years to come. I hope that you guys enjoyed this journey as much as we did, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching.